are these people?
Bezos.
Oh,
So
Bezos. I gotta
not
break out. I gotta break out my Bezos soundboard. Um, where's that at? Good search. There we go.
Jeffrey Bezos.
there we go.
Jeffrey Bezos.
You've been kind of slacking on the
Soundboard light.
board
Yeah, I can
as of
pick it
late.
up a little bit. So I
so
think
yeah,
Stream Deck finally figured out how to make it work for a bit, so that's useful.
So has Bezos turned over a new leaf and is actually helping people that is not part of the capitalist elite? How about no? We'll see. So let's tune in to Fox 5 that's based in San Diego, and they will explain
Okay.
what Bezos has done recently during the holiday season. So go ahead.
North County Homeless Shelter just received some funding from one of the wealthiest people in the world.
Our Sarah Barker joins us live from Escondido at the Interfaith Community Services with the story tonight. Sarah?
Phil, Maria, good afternoon to you both. Interfaith Community Services, which serves about 1,000 or more people who are in need of help here in the North County, just received a $5 million grant from, as you said, one of the wealthiest people in the world, a foundation spearheaded by Jeff Bezos. And today and this week is a great time to celebrate, as the shelter is now hosting their annual Thanksgiving dinner, helping people have a warm meal this holiday season.
We got to get more green beans, Patty. Just does my heart good to see people enjoying the day.
At a time of year full of thanks.
We turn our soup kitchen operation into a five-star restaurant, and we're going to welcome them in. Families, veterans, seniors.
Interfaith Community Services in Escondido is hosting their annual Thanksgiving dinner. But this year,
Are we ready for more turkey yet?
the organization has a lot more to be grateful for.
Hot, hot.
Amazon founder Jeff Bezos donated $5 million to Interfaith through the Bezos Day One Families Foundation, which picks organizations that help end family homelessness.
We just opened a new family shelter that has no government funding, and it costs more than $1 million a year to operate. We haven't been sure how to pay for it. We just knew it was needed. And so to have a gift like this come in at a time when we are bringing families with children off the streets into our shelter, helping them overcome homelessness, it's truly transformational.
Interfaith was one of 38 groups in the country and only one of 3 in California to receive funding. The organization says it will help at least 2,500 families have a place to call home.
This grant will meet each family where they're at. Some families will benefit from our new family shelter. Others will be able to end their homelessness much more quickly, and we can negotiate with the landlord to get them back into housing in a matter of hours or days.
This announcement comes just a few months after the group learned it would no longer receive a $50,000 grant from the city that it had received yearly for a decade. Escondido has the highest homeless population among the North County cities. Latest data shows is around 499 people.
We're having a chance to give back to the homeless.
And Interfaith's lead cook used to be one of them.
I'm not only the staff now, but I'm also an ex-participant because Interfaith helped me save my life.
And of course, there's lots more stories just like that one here at Interfaith Community Services in Escondido. Now, one of the issues they say they face is not knowing exactly how many families are in need of help or are homeless here in the North County. So with that $5 million, they're also planning to get an accurate data count so they know who to help, where they're located, and exactly what services they need. Live in Escondido, Sarah Barker, Fox 5 News.
Yeah, so is Jeff Bezos turning over a new leaf and actually helping the less fortunate, the poor, so to speak?
This sounds like a very easy tax write-off for him.
Well, yeah,
but
and considering that he makes money in the billions, that's kind of like a drop in the bucket for him. But the fact, I mean, he gave a little bit, so it helps a little, I suppose. But as you said earlier, Reef, yeah, you guessed right. Um,
500 million to make it worse. Okay.
yeah.
Um,
Oh boy, this is gonna be bad because I cannot read this. There we go. I
okay.
have to.
Make
There we
me
go. I
big.
have to just do that.
Damn
I just don't see the chat in order to read this for right now.
it. You're
But
good.
yeah, you're absolutely right, Reef. Well, I think our audience is also very smart that I'm sure they would have figured this out too. So according to Common Dreams, this is written by John Quealy. He's new. No, actually, no,
I've
he's
seen him
not.
around.
We've read.
I
We've
think I've
seen him
had one of
around.
them.
Jeff Bezos donates 120 million to fight homelessness, then invests 500 million to make it worse. The last
Nice.
thing Americans need is a Bezos-backed investment company further consolidating single-family homes and putting home ownership out of the reach of more and more people. Housing should be a right, not a speculative commodity.
So he's buying up all the housing and then giving to the homeless just to make himself sleep better at night, pretty much.
Yeah, right. So,
Okay.
according to John, among the three richest people on the planet, mega billionaire Amazon founder Jeff Bezos received some praise last week for announcing approximately $120 million in donations to a number of groups fighting the scourge of homelessness in the United States. It's a privilege to support these orgs in their inspiring mission to help families regain stability. Bezos wrote in an Instagram post tuning the multiple grants to 38 individual profits in 22 states, of which in the city, I'm pretty sure, was among them. But hold your applause. Just days after word of the charitable gifts, a minuscule drop in the bucket compared to the estimated 170 billion fortune he possesses, a Bezos-controlled company called Arrived dropped 500 million of new investment in single-family homes with a venture fund that critics warn will make the nation's housing crisis even worse.
What would he be doing with single family homes to the tune of how much?
$500 million.
Okay. I mean that sounds bad. Why does he need that?
Well, according to GB Wire, since its inception in 2021, Arrive has attracted nearly 500,000 customers, operating as a fractional real estate investment platform. The company's model is similar to buying a slice of the American pie, allowing investors to purchase shares of single-family rentals for as little as $100.
Okay.
The fund itself, called the Single Family Residential Fund, allows investors to purchase portions of various homes and later trade, hold, or redeem their chips on a rolling basis like players at a casino. While Americans, especially younger people and working class families, have been steadily priced out of home ownership by soaring costs and, more recently, higher interest rates, Arrive preys on that reality by selling the idea that owning a piece of a home as an investment is an American dream akin to owning a home one lives in. Excuse me. Speculative investors, however, are likely not among those struggling to make ends meet, but this kind of investment behavior, warns critics, is certain to drive home prices even higher. Representative Ro Khanna, who has co-authored legislation to halt the rent gouging and inflated home prices that result from such investment schemes, ripped Bezos' latest move. The last thing Americans need is a Bezos-backed investment company further consolidating single-family homes and putting home ownership out of the reach of more and more people, Khanna tweeted on Friday. Housing should be a right, not a speculative commodity. As the author writing under the name Homeless Romantic on Medium noted last week, a primary concern raised by critics is the monopolization of housing that Arrived is pushing. By acquiring a large number of single-family homes, reads the post, Bezos and other investors can consolidate control over the housing supply, giving a significant influence over rental prices and market dynamics. This could make it more difficult for ordinary individuals and families to find affordable housing, particularly in high-demand areas. It wasn't lost on many that there was a disconnect between this relatively paltry gift to organizations valiantly standing on the front lines to fight homelessness with one hand, while simultaneously using his massive fortune to exacerbate the crisis with a for-profit venture on the other. What else could he do? People had ideas. According to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, it would cost a mere $220 billion annually to end homelessness in the United States. In response to the latest revelations about his charitable giving, a few people said a person worth nearly $200 billion like Bezos could literally end homelessness by himself if he wanted to. And I know we've said that before.
Yes, multiple times over, right?
Yeah. So short story, but figured take a little bit of a respite from Israel, Gaza stuff, but we're going to get more into that later for slightly longer story. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, this is interesting to say the least. You know, this is kind of one of those things where it's similar to what BlackRock has been doing and Vanguard has been doing, and now old Jeffy Bezos wants in. So, you know, it's I'm still not quite sure how this affects them, other than I guess it's making all these houses that could be owned rentals, right? Essentially.
Right.
Okay.
So essentially, like how I understand it, it's not like you're buying a home outright. It's like it's like almost kind of like a timeshare, I would equivocate it to. So
but it's a timeshare for the rich assholes making the money off of it.
Exactly.
Like, you're still having to put in and pay rent every month instead of owning it, which this is in California, correct?
Well, I would imagine yes, but mainly, well, probably based there, but you know, ideally with Jeff's hand in this, like this could be
national eventually. Yeah. But I mean, California rents are fucking ridiculous already. You know, I mean, it's 15, 16, 2,000 for a single bed, one bath, like 0 square footage, you know, like, and that's like even San Fran's, I forget what they call it, but they're like, they're essentially the housing for the poor that is a one room occupancy, I think.
Maybe.
Something like that. Someone in chat will correct me, but you know, that stuff's like 800, 900, 1,000, 1,500 for a month for that. So I have to imagine that this single family, single room homes are going to be very similar, and prices will skyrocket and make Bezos buku more bucks that he absolutely needs to get his 9th gold SUV. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's
but
like we said, he could end homelessness, not just him and others.
I mean, he could do it like fucking Thanos, just snap of his fingers and it's done.
Right.
So,
of course, yeah, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and no housing for the rest of us, or just the idea of people who may want to buy a home, especially in urban areas. Like, I know friends in DC that they make decent money and they don't live in DC because
you can't afford to.
They can't afford to. So they live out in the boonies, either in Maryland or
you've seen that
Virginia.
With San Fran, especially, the whole tech industry has left the city, right? It all started doing remote work, and the people who do the job don't want to have to pay to live in San Fran anymore. So, like, no, we're keeping the remote work so that we can live in a fucking ranch estate in Oregon somewhere. You know, like, it's way cheaper for them to do that than to pay the same rent cost for nothing.
Right, but I think now with a lot of cities pushing people to come back into work,
yes,
at least a few days a week, I wonder within how that's going
to affect monetary stuff. It's already is. I mean, the fact is that productivity is still through the roof. So people are capable of doing the work, but it's the businesses themselves are having to figure out why they're paying for overhead on brick and mortar.
Right. Well,
stores are doing the same thing.
Well, yeah, it's the idea that if you live in a major city, like pre-pandemic, people will come into work, and then obviously businesses, especially for lunch, and maybe like happy hour, whatever else, that's a clientele that you can depend on, to make income. Obviously now with the pandemic and more people working from home, that's less revenue coming in. And then public transportation as a result, not many people needing to take public transportation if they're working remotely. So it's just a way to try and recoup and reinvent these downtown areas in order to make people come back and ideally spend money. But obviously, if you've been so used to working remotely and now you've kind of settled in the suburbs for a cheaper place and maybe bigger, then it's going to be difficult for people to make that call to come into work, or I would imagine for many of them might end up quitting those jobs in order to ensure that they're able to stay remote.
Yeah, for sure.
Or you're going to see a lot more people. Like I think the story off of Reddit that a guy who used to live in New York during the pandemic, he was paying like God knows how much money for like a studio apartment, but then like moved out to Michigan and basically bought like a mansion of a house.
Right.
And then his boss basically was like, actually he didn't tell them that he went to New York. Moved out into Michigan because he was still doing the same job remotely, just he was living in Michigan. And then like his boss was like, we need you to come back to New York. And he was just basically like, long story short, he negotiated that he was getting a larger salary in order for him. I think it was either to come in maybe like once a month or to continue working remotely, because I forgot what he was, but some type of computer work where his job is like some type of computer programming job where his title was so specific that only he can essentially do the work.
Yeah.
So he basically.
I never understood why they need people to come in for stuff like that. Like, if I can do everything remotely, what's the point of coming in? Like it's just inefficient to do. Like, to me, that's what businesses are striving to find is efficiencies, so that like, if I don't need to pay you to be in New York, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pay you to be happy somewhere else, and so that you do a better job for me. But this is clearly Jeff Bezos, and that might be part of the reason why Bezos is doing it too, is so that he has housing for people to be in his fucking system.
Right.
So like that might be part of it too, and you might find you're renting your house through Amazon.com.
Or yeah, I mean, you're already beginning to. I think One Medical now is affiliated with Amazon now. So, so
you're gonna have Amazon life insurance and Amazon other. It's like, and any scam possible to keep you in the system is what they're now doing. So, I mean, until someone stops him, which Rokan ain't gonna fucking do it, so he can fucking pretend he's trying to do something, but that ain't happening. So,
especially given his constituency is within the very system that would profit off of this, and his wife probably profits off it too. So
quite a bit. He's probably got shares in it for all we know. So
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
Well, yeah. Craziness. If you want to, tell us what you think, leave it in the comment down below. Do that. It's nice. Leave a like. Do all the fun stuff. But yeah. You ready for the next one, Care Bear?
Hold on.
Okay.
Again, I have to adjust screens here.
You're good.
Yep, I'm good.
Cool. So, you're in the ATL at the minute.